For too long, we have been conditioned to believe that inflation is a natural economic phenomenon, perhaps even a benign one that stimulates growth. However, a deeper examination reveals a more disconcerting truth. Inflation, at its core, acts as a sophisticated form of theft. It systematically diminishes your purchasing power, eroding your ability to acquire the goods and services you once could. This perspective challenges the conventional wisdom often disseminated in educational institutions, urging us to reconsider the very nature of our economic reality. We observe a stark disparity between stagnant wages and rapidly escalating costs of living. While minimum wages, for instance, see only minimal increases, the prices of fundamental necessities such as food, housing, education, and healthcare surge at an alarmingly disproportionate rate. This creates a challenging environment where the average individual finds their financial footing becoming increasingly precarious. Furthermore, the official inflation figures frequently presented to the public, such as the reported 5.51% in December 2022, can be profoundly misleading. Governments often target an ideal inflation rate, typically around 2%, yet this magic number frequently remains an elusive target. Such official statistics may inadvertently obscure the true extent of the financial pressure faced by ordinary citizens. Traditional investment strategies, particularly those involving instruments like stock mutual funds, warrant critical scrutiny in an inflationary climate. It is not uncommon for many of these funds to exhibit negative performance even when inflation is high, leaving investors struggling to maintain their capital. The reality is that the ratio fees charged by investment managers often serve to enrich them, irrespective of the investor's actual returns, which may merely keep pace with or even fall behind inflation. This extends to fixed income and money market funds as well, which frequently fail to provide returns that genuinely outpace the rate of inflation. To truly comprehend inflation, one must look beyond superficial explanations and identify its fundamental drivers. There are primarily three causes that contribute to its relentless progression. Firstly, changes in the money supply are pivotal. When more currency is printed, its inherent value inevitably diminishes. Secondly, shifts in the demand for products and services play a crucial role. Heightened demand empowers sellers to raise prices. Lastly, alterations in the supply of goods and services significantly impact prices. Scarcity, whether natural or artificially induced, invariably leads to higher costs. The Consumer Price Index, widely utilized as the benchmark for measuring inflation, is another metric that can be misleading. It often overlooks or assigns insufficient weight to critical expenses such as housing and healthcare, thereby presenting an incomplete and often understated picture of the actual cost of living. This inadequacy is glaringly evident in the housing sector. We have witnessed an unprecedented surge in housing costs, rendering homeownership an unattainable aspiration for many, even those with stable and well-paying employment. This phenomenon is not attributable to homes becoming inherently superior or more valuable in their physical attributes. Rather, it is a direct consequence of the continuous weakening of our currency. A significant turning point in this trajectory was the detachment of our national currency from the gold standard in 1971. Consequently, the conventional wisdom that owning a home is a guaranteed path to wealth requires revaluation. For many, purchasing a home can paradoxically lead to a diminished financial standing, as any perceived gains in value are often merely a reflection of currency devaluation. In this context, renting emerges as a perfectly viable and, at times, more financially prudent alternative. Even our understanding of nutrition, specifically the traditional food pyramid, may be subject to a similar form of engineered deception. This model, which emphasizes grains as the foundation of our diet, has been argued by some to be a government-orchestrated scheme designed to artificially suppress the CPI by promoting the consumption of mass-produced, heavily subsidized grains while marginalizing or demonizing unprocessed and unsubsidized alternatives like meat. This perspective challenges the notion that rising food costs accurately reflect genuine increases in nutritional value or the true cost of production and consumption. While governments often tout economic growth as a primary objective, it is essential to scrutinize how this growth is measured and who truly benefits from it. GDP, or gross domestic product, frequently serves as a key indicator of economic health. However, GDP does not encapsulate the equitable distribution of this growth, nor does it factor in environmental sustainability or improvements in overall well-being. One of the most insidious aspects of this economic order is that it operates largely beneath the radar of public consciousness. The mechanisms of inflation and the subtle erosion of our purchasing power often go unnoticed by the average citizen, allowing those orchestrating this system to perpetuate it unchecked. This lack of awareness is further compounded by the tendency to accept financial illiteracy as the norm. Many of us are not equipped with the tools to critically analyze the economic information presented to us, making it challenging to discern fact from fiction. It is crucial to recognize that the process of acquiring knowledge, particularly in finance, should not be hindered by financial constraints. Yet the reality is that numerous books, courses, and seminars that offer insights into navigating these complex financial landscapes are often priced out of reach for many. This creates a disconcerting divide where access to crucial financial education becomes a privilege reserved for the affluent, perpetuating a cycle of economic disparity. Traditional investment advice commonly promotes a diversified portfolio as the epitome of financial prudence. However, when inflation is rampant, the efficacy of this strategy can be questionable. Ascertained asset classes like bonds and cash tend to struggle, especially during periods of high inflation, which leaves stocks and real estate as primary options. Even within these, it is vital to exercise discernment. Historically, certain sectors like technology have flourished, but this may not hold true in the future. Moreover, the concept of diversification can be misleading, as it often encourages investors to spread their money across a multitude of funds managed by investment companies. These companies are motivated by profit and typically charge hefty fees, further diminishing the investor's returns. This practice effectively funnels a significant portion of investors' capital into the pockets of these financial institutions without necessarily enhancing the overall returns. In the realm of personal finance, budgeting and frugality are often celebrated as the cornerstones of financial responsibility. However, in an inflationary environment, there is a crucial caveat to these principles. While it is undoubtedly wise to manage expenses and live within one's means, relying solely on these strategies can be limiting. Frugality becomes a double-edged sword when inflation is eroding the value of your savings and income at a steady pace. Simply cutting back on expenses may not be sufficient to keep your financial head above water. In such a climate, it is imperative to strike a balance between prudent financial management and proactive measures to grow your wealth. This entails not only containing costs, but also seeking avenues for your money to appreciate in value at a rate that outpaces inflation. Otherwise, even with the best budgeting practices, inflation can gradually whittle down your financial resources. To illustrate this, consider a scenario where you diligently save $1,000 per month. If inflation averages 3% annually, the purchasing power of that $1,000 will diminish over time. In essence, inflation can silently erode the value of your savings, necessitating a dual approach. While maintaining a budget is important, simultaneously exploring avenues for inflation-beating returns is equally crucial for preserving and growing your wealth. In conclusion, comprehending the true nature of inflation is not just an academic exercise. It is a vital skill for safeguarding your financial well-being. Recognizing inflation as a multifaceted phenomenon driven by changes in money supply, demand, and supply dynamics enables you to anticipate its impact on your purchasing power and savings. By critically examining traditional investment strategies, including the often touted diversified portfolios, you can navigate the financial landscape more effectively. Moreover, understanding the limitations of budgeting and frugality in the face of persistent inflation underscores the need to explore avenues for growing your wealth at rates that outpace this silent robber. Ultimately, it is through cultivating financial literacy and recognizing the intricacies of our economic system that we can empower ourselves to protect our hard-earned money. So have you ever wondered why the wealthy elite always seem to emerge unscathed amidst economic turmoil? while the middle class and the lower echelons of society bear the brunt of financial hardships? Stay tuned until the end of the video, where we will reveal the astonishing revelation that might just change everything you think you know about our economic system. Don't miss this eye-opening. Now, let's move on to the next video.